that I've been doing for the last 6 years is writing Lua code to get the information that's on Wikidata into info boxes on various different Wikimedia projects. And Leah asked me if I'd be able to come and do a workshop with you all as part of the hackathon. And I said, yeah, of course I will. I'm retired now, but I taught for 25 years and then worked in the IT industry for another 15. So I go back to COBOL and Algon and ASA 4 and 6502 machine code. So the door's okay. It's all right. They won't disturb me. You're okay. Leave it. Yeah, let them come in. Don't worry. Nobody disturbs me when I'm teaching. It's impossible. So don't worry about it. I'm going to spend most of the time either here or down the back, or I'm going to get Mike Peel over there, who's one of my long-term friends and collaborators. We served together on the board of Wikimedia UK for a year or so, or more, or whatever it was. And Martin as well is another one of our ex-Wikimedia UK. So we're very well ready. I've got another assistant over there. Will you introduce yourself to everybody, please?
Hi, my name is Nicola. Yes.
And if you have any problems, ask.
Yes.
So any of us will come along and come and help you. Come on, Lua? Yeah, come on, grab a seat. I'm just getting stuck into it. I'll take a minute or two to get set up. Now, what I want to know really is what level are you folks at? How many people here? I mean, first of all, has everybody got a Wikimedia account? Anybody not got a Wikimedia account? Excellent. Okay. And what Wikimedia projects do you edit on? English Wikipedia, anybody? Oh, cripes, that's going to be the minority. That's going to be fun. Okay. French? German? Alright, I'm not guessing what this is then. Swedish? Yay, okay, well, alright. None of this is going to matter because because what I'm going to do, I'm going to get you to actually activate your account on the English Wikipedia. And the reason I'm going to get you to do this is that we're going to have a couple of places. And by a couple of places, I mean we're going to have one module for you to work in as a sandbox and another sandbox space that you can use to actually test the module out. So when we make changes, we're going to be changing the code and then switching to another tab. Is everybody happy? Everybody happy with tab browsing? Nobody's on a really tiny screen that makes that difficult? Okay, that's good. I don't want to be rude, guys, but I can't get behind you there. Do you think you could possibly squeeze yourself into another row? And you're asking now, well, I want to be behind you. Yeah, good question. Well, the answer to that, oh, if only this would work. If only I could see what the hell I was doing. And somewhere I've got some specs which will help. And we'll have some specs on in a moment when I'm working. So, mouse and that and that and that. And can you do me a favour?
Yeah.
Do you think you could plug that in for me somewhere? Heaven knows where. Probably over there. If it is, with John, that's okay. And the reason is, what I'm going to be doing when I'm working, and if any of you do teach stuff and do outreach, the place you want to be is here. Because that's, first of all, that gives everybody a crick in the neck, so that stops them worrying too much about what you're doing. And secondly, if you can see everybody's screen, you will see the folks that are having just a little bit of a problem.
and you can see who needs just a little bit of, and you can get to it all or not, because this back row is impossible. So what I am going to be doing is he's probably working. Rebecca, don't worry yourself. We're all right. I'll get past. I've learned to make myself thin for these jobs. So I'll be working probably from here, maybe sitting down. How's that going? Have you managed to get that on the screen yet for us?
It's
It's on. Can I turn it on? Well, no, I thought it was. Oh yes, there it is. Okay, I'll go. Don't worry. We'll sort it in a minute. Okay. So first things first, folks. Yeah, I'm a Star Wars fan. Okay. Actually, I'm a fan of BB-8. Let's be honest about it. He's my hero. And it should be on an extended desktop. And you probably need to turn that on if it's
Yeah, it was
make it
better.
work. Yeah. So, hey,
Sorry.
don't apologise. It's lovely to see you. Thanks for coming. Stay off the back row. We're not having people on the back row. That's where the bad folks go. Yeah, that's where the naughty people live. Isn't it, Mike? Yeah. So anyway, here's what I want you to do. And we can all. Would you work with us just on this one for a start, so that we get the thing working? Now, what we should have. No, I don't want that on there. No. That's my emails. Get it off there. Go on, shoot.
Sorry.
Yeah, I can't have you looking at my emails. Disgraceful.
You didn't see it.
You didn't see anything, no. No, and it was. It's all untrue. Don't believe a word of it. What we're going to do is set this up so that I can throw another screen onto here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you just to follow through and follow as we're going. Is everybody happy enough to log themselves onto the English Wikipedia? Because if you are, let me just show you this. From there it is. Let me just show you this. I have a set of materials that you can actually use, but I don't want you to use them in this session if we can avoid it. I want to actually try and teach you as we're going along. And this is me, user access, and this is Google coding, which I do each year as a mentor for the pre-university students, and I teach them Lua. So I know these materials kind of work. So there's a bunch of tasks, and you can actually do these all yourself. So you didn't have to come with this after all, you see. Well, now it tells me. Yeah, now it tells me. Okay, well they're there. They're really there for you to revise. And depending on how far we get today, you'll be able to pick up from where we leave off. I'm hoping to get the first 6 done, maybe certainly the first 5, as taught material. And you're the guinea pigs for this now, because I haven't actually taught this as a class session, if you see. I've only ever done it online, but you're very welcome at any time in the future to go over, pick these tasks up, look back on them, and then have a go again, revise them. And if you have problems, you're very, very welcome to come to my talk page, user talk access, and just leave me a note and give me a pointer to where you had the problem, because it'll be in your sandbox somewhere, and you'll be able to find it. So, would you do me a favour? Just throw that back onto the other page.
Move it.
Yep, move it back onto where the hidden bit. That's it. No, sorry, not the whole thing. I do apologise. Just
The sandbox.
just the other bit. Just the page that we're on now. Leave the sandbox on there because that's where we want to work from. Move that one back onto the other. I'll do it. It's all right. Don't worry.
Sorry. Not a good assistant.
What I'm going to do? No, this is how you learn. What I'm trying to do, obviously, I'm trying to get a couple of folks trained up in other languages so that we can get this done in French, German, Spanish and all the rest of it. And if anybody is interested in becoming a teacher for this, you see, so we can work from here, and you can pull that one open, so you can see that. And if we put it this way, I'll come back up there and I can see it as well, so I remember where we got to. But they won't be seeing it, they'll be working. But this bit is where we'll work from. So would you pretend to be me, please? And what I want you to do is I want you to find your place on the English Wikipedia, find your sandbox, and then in the title bar up here, I want you to change the word sandbox to say Lua sandbox. So you're going to have a sandbox which is English Wikipedia that's got your username, and then it says Lua sandbox. And you should find that it says that doesn't exist. I mean, it's an amazing coincidence if it does. I think the odds are so far against it as to be astronomical. So has anybody already got that page? No, excellent. This will help me later, because what I can do is I can look back at the server, the new page log, and see everybody who participated. And that will be valuable in trying to keep track of what's happening. The Lua sandbox in your name. So has anybody got a problem with that? Make the page, start it up, and can you start that page for us? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it'll probably work. Yeah, it doesn't have that page. So down in the editing area, that's it. Yeah. I just want you to write something along the lines of, "This is the sandbox for testing Lua." Okay, now press enter. Put a full stop or something like that, so we can get down on a blank line, and then what we're going to do is we'll make a start on actually doing something. Now, when you make a module, which is what we're going to be doing in a second or two, you need somewhere for that to actually be called from. And so, I should have said, how many people have actually dabbled in Lua already? A little bit, yeah. How much have you dabbled? Tell me.
Just a bit modules stuff.
Okay, so you made a module, and yeah, you'll have to excuse me because we're just going to go over this again.
Yeah.
So here's your sandbox, and we're going to have things which invoke a module. That's the word that we're going to use. So for the moment, can we just save that up? Just save that as it stands. So we've got, yeah, edit summary, whatever you want to do, bang it in. Oh, he's going to wreck my 100% edit summary record here.
Wait, two seconds.
Yeah, I've stopped worrying about it now. They let me be an admin this year. They actually promoted me.
You always delete the page and get your record back.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I can delete that now. Nobody will know about it. Yeah, now you're talking. Talk about admin abuse, eh? Right. So, what I want over? Yeah, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. What I want you to do is I want you to make something else. And the way to do it, the way I always do it, is to open a new Wikipedia main page by right-clicking on here and asking it to, or middle-clicking it, open it up in a new tab. So I've got, and then I go to the search box. Now, those of you who are using something that isn't Monobook will have a search somewhere else probably. I can't guarantee yours is going to look like this, but in the search Wikipedia box, I want you to write module, M-O-D-U-L-E, colon, sandbox, and then a forward slash, close, yeah, it's there, and your username. Now, you see, we don't have module, we don't have module sandboxes for ourselves. So what we have to do, instead of having rexs module sandbox, which doesn't work, we have to have module sandbox / rexs. That's it. What you could do here is put something else in. So don't worry about it. That's great. Yeah, that's great. That's because there's already a module sandbox accessor. So we haven't got it, but you may create it. Okay. So click on that. We're going to create it. Okay, is everybody managing? Yeah, so far so good. All right. What I want you to write is I want you to write 2 hyphens, minuses, ordinary dashes, dash, dash, minus, minus, just like that. I don't know if you can you all see that, or would it be better if we zoom it a bit?
Okay.
It's okay? Good. Your eyesight's better than mine. So, but that's not difficult. Hey there, come and join us. You can't go on the back row, unfortunately. Sorry, it's forbidden. No, we won't let you. No, he's going to go anyway. Okay, you can go on the back row.
You can always move the tables if you want.
I shall move the tables in a minute. Don't worry about it. So 2 dashes. 2 dashes starts a comment in Lua. So that's the first thing that we don't learn. And this is a comment. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, except you had to put M's instead of colons. This is a comment. Now, for those of you, how many people program in JavaScript? Good. C? PHP? Python? I've got no work to do. Great, because Lua's just like those. Just like it. Hardly any difference at all. Well, a bit. But not enough to bother you. For a start off with Lua, white space does not matter. So for those that are used to Python, it doesn't matter. You can indent things how the hell you like, and it doesn't foul up. It is brilliant. You can take code from one place to another, slap it in, it don't care. So you don't mess things up by that. Secondly, you don't need a colon at the end of each line. Isn't that awesome? It knows when a comment is finished, when a command is finished, when a test or anything, a function, a call. It knows all of that all the time, so you don't need to put colon at the end of each line. You can if you want, it doesn't care. Right? So that, if you like putting the colons, semicolons, sorry, at the end of each line, by all means do that. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so we're going to start with this is a comment. Okay, good start. Right. And what I'd like you to do now is put another comment underneath which says task 2. Yeah, task 2, yeah. And that's where we're going to start our second task. Because the first task is just to get these things created. So if you can save those up for us. So save what you've got. It's just a blank thing that does nothing, okay? And we've got there, that's brilliant, that's good. Yep, we're ready to go. All right, here's what I want you to do now. Can you nip back to your sandbox? Yeah, so this is why we want multiple things there. This is the sandbox for testing Lua. Excellent. What I want you to do is I want you to put open curly brackets, open curly brackets. Yeah, curly ones, that's it. Go on, you can do
Can we copy the invocation from where it's...
You could do, yeah. By all means. Hash invoke.
English.
Oh, sorry, it's going to be up. It's going to be up. Hash invoke, colon. And then we give it the name of the module that we're going to use. We don't need the module because it's... So what is the other one going to be? It's going to be sandbox, whatever your name is. Okay, so we're going to hash invoke that. And that then has 2 curly brackets closed at the end of it. Okay? Now that will give us an error. So let's save that up and see the error. Or you can preview it and see the error. It comes to the same thing. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, so there it is. It tells us you must specify a function to call. So the first thing that you now know is that when you write a Lua module, it's got to have a function that you can name and call from outside of it. Okay, let's go back to this module then. let's do something really simple. When we're making a module, can you leave a few blank lines, 3 or 4 blank lines for us? That's great. What we're going to write is we're going to write a function. And you've got, as usual, you've got a couple of different ways of writing function, but it doesn't really matter which one you use. Which one, if you like writing function, name, something, you can do that. That's fine. So we can write function, space, and the name of the function. Give us a space. Give us a space after the word function, will you?
Where?
Yeah, sorry. After the word function, a space.
Yes, yes.
That's it. Perfect. So function has now gone blue, so the thing knows, the parser already knows that you're making a function, and you can give it a name, and let's put, name's good. Let's call it name. Functions, by the way, are in Lua what we call first-class values. What that means is we can use them as if they were a variable. In fact, they are a variable. They're just one of the different types of variables available to us. They're a data type function. And clever name is good. I like my parentheses immediately after the name of my functions. You might want a space. Lua doesn't care. So you can have whatever style you like. And there it is. There's your parentheses. We're there. And we're going to pass something into it. Now, normally, when we're calling these things from outside of the module, we use the word frame. So let's put frame in there, please. Frame, yes. F-R-A-M-E, that's it, frame. So that will be a function, okay? If you go to the end of the line and press enter, then there you have the start. Now, see, it's indented it for you, but it wouldn't matter if you didn't. It'll try and keep things neat for you, but you know, it's up to you. You've got control of this language. It's not got control of you, which is why I really like Lua. It's so nice to people. So there's a function, clever name or whatever you want to call it, and it's been passed an object called frame. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to return immediately. So I'm going to ask it to return, and I'm going to ask it to return a string. Hello world. You know, how original. Yeah? Anybody done one of these before? And you put it inside quotation marks. And you can use single quotation marks, or you can use double quotation marks, and Lua doesn't care. Right? So that's the nice thing. And it doesn't have to have anything on the end of the line. That is fine. And then if we come on to the next line, and now use your backspace just to kill that tab. No, not just once. And type end. Oh, nearly there. We'll get there. End. E-N-D. E-N-D. Fan. The end. That's it. So we got the end. And that basically is the word that Lua uses to mark the end of a block. So all of our blocks will have the word end. And very often you'll see a Lua function, and then it kind of writes itself, and then at the end it unwinds. It goes end, 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 end. Lots of different lines worth of end. I usually just put a comment on the end saying which loop it is or which test it is that I've used. But all the structures, loops and tests and all the rest of it, use the same format. And that is it. Now that actually won't work. So save it up. You've saved it. You've got it saved. Has everybody saved that? Yep. Okay. So we're going to go back to our sandbox now. And we're going to, after that, we're going to put a pipe. You know, the separator thing that we use in templates to separate parameters out. A vertical bar.
Yes.
Yeah, possibly, I don't know. Hard to tell from there. No, that's not the one we want. No, it's here. You've broken it, yeah. And we're going to put clever name. Now, the one thing is that this, unfortunately, it is case sensitive. So if you've been a bit smarty about how you've labelled it and you can't remember where the capitals and the lower case are, that's your own fault. Okay, so that isn't going to work. So preview that and we'll see what happens. You can keep previewing stuff. There you are, you see, the module return a nil value. It is supposed to return an export table. Now this is nothing to do with Lua. This isn't Lua's fault. This is our Wikimedia implementation of Lua called Scribuntu. So Scribuntu, what Scribuntu does, if we nip back into the sandbox and scroll him up a little bit, and also, can we edit that? Yeah. Top. Spot on. What it does is it passes us something called a frame, but it expects a table to come back. Now a table is Lua's only complex data type. So everything else, believe me, structures, objects, they're all made out of tables. Arrays, lists, they're all tables in Lua. And they work really nice, because that's the only thing you've got to worry about. And what we're going to do, on line 4, I'm going to define a table. And you don't use the word define, you just write it. You just write it. Don't worry, this is the sort of thing I want you to do and see and get straight. So you're going to write P. I'm going to use the letter P. And everybody uses the letter P. Heaven knows why, but we do. It's for package. P equals. And you can put spaces in front of the equal signs and after it if you wish. Or not. Lua doesn't care. Okay, so P equals, and then an open curly bracket and a closed curly bracket. That is an empty table. So that's the fundamental thing that you get, a table, and it happens to be empty. Okay? And then down at the bottom, on the next line, we're going to return P. Now, all of our modules are going to start something like that, probably. P equals an empty table, and then we'll add functions onto the table as we go along, and then we return P at the end. That's it. And the only thing we've got left to do is to add that function onto that table. And what we're going to do is, instead of calling it clever name, we're going to call it P dot clever name. Nearly. That's it. That is exactly it. Now what that has done, it only looks like a small thing, but it is quite subtle. There is now no variable in that module called clever name. There is no function called clever name. I could write another function called clever name and it would not interfere with that. That function is called p.clevername. And effectively, P is a table that holds the names of all the functions. So if you write several functions inside one module, which you're perfectly able to do, you just write each one as p.something. And each one of them will be an entry in the table, and it will be the name of the function. And because we're returning it through Scribuntu to the calling page will have access to that function p.clevername. And that's how it all ties together. So that's how we get stuff in through the frame, and we get stuff out through returning a table with the names of the functions that you can invoke. Can you save that up for me? You can all do this now. And now switch back to your sandbox. And let's preview that. Okay. Didn't work. Why didn't that work?
Is the module saved? Is the module saved?
I don't know, is it? Is it saved? What? Is the module saved? Well done. Okay, well spotted. That's bonus points there for debugging. And here we go again. And you'll get used to doing this sort of thing because this is the kind of steps that you need to... Now that's more like it. Now we're there. For those of you that are programmers, it now feels like we've got this language by the scruff of its neck. Let's save that up. Let's save that up. That's awesome. Great. Okay, let's start moving a bit faster now. Was that saved? Did it not save? Did it? Yes, it did.
Yeah, there's something
Perfect. How are we doing? Okay, so, yeah, you want
I
to
keep doing? No.
No, you carry on, you.
Ah,
Unless, Mike, do you want to make a swap? No.
Mike is
Okay, Mike doesn't want to make a swap, yeah, you carry on doing it. I just thought if you know, because I'm trying to get Mike up to speed as well at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay, can you move on to task 2 now?
That was task 2.
No, we haven't. No, that was still task 1. We've got it ready for task 2, but we haven't actually done what I wanted us to do for task 2. So don't worry. We've done 2 things, and once upon a time that might have been task 2, and we might have had 10 tasks to do. But what I've actually done is I've condensed them together into 2 tasks in 1. So I was kind of premature in telling you to write task 2, but as you can see, it doesn't matter what you write. So in your sandbox, what I want you to do is I want you to edit that and make a new heading. And that heading, I want to be a second level heading which says task 2. In front of? No. There. That's it. Okay.
Second,
So, we're getting that ready. Is everybody happy with that? Yeah, you're all editors, there's no problem with that. Let's just save that up. Good.
Why do I have to?
Okay, while he's working out how to save that, I've got just a couple of revision questions. What do we use to return the table of functions back to the core conventionally? What letter do we use conventionally to do that?
P.
P, okay, bingo, so that's gone, that's sunk in. And what word do we use to start a function definition?
Function.
Function, brilliant, not define, function, good, perfect, that's exactly right, that's exactly what we want. Now, I should say that all the variables, and that includes functions as well, can all be local as well as global. And if we don't write global, we don't write anything, that's still global. If you write local, then they become local. And for those of you that are concerned with questions of scope, wherever you've made your definition of local, the scope of it is exactly within that block and nowhere else. Okay, so you will make mistakes like that. Like you'll define a local variable inside a test, and then when you end the test, that local variable's disappeared, and then you try and do something with it on the next slide. Believe me, that'll happen. Okay, so we're on to task 2. Now, so in your sandbox now, in your Lua sandbox, in your module, let's switch to there. There we go. That's it. And let's go, that's beautiful, we're going to edit that. Let's move down a little bit further, just give it a bit of space, that's perfect. What are we doing next? Can I just have a quick shuffle on there and see where we, that's well, oh yes, that's good. Oh yes, that's spot on. Spot on. Okay, we don't need to do that. I'm just going to open this. Okay. And this,
we don't see it.
you will in a second. This
No.
is
Just for the radio.
here it comes, hovering into view for you. Here's one I prepared earlier. Okay, can you copy that in?
Yes.
Can you copy that into the next? Sorry, let me be more accurate about it. You've already got this bit and that bit. So somewhere between the end of your previous thing that gave you return hello world, that function there, your clever name, so here basically, make a bit of space in there and copy that bit. That's exactly what I want you to do, if you wouldn't mind. Now you haven't got that to do, so maybe you can do a bit of writing and see how it goes. Okay. And I'll talk you through this in a second or so. So we've jumped on a bit further here. And we've defined a function.
Now notice, by the way, that that is not the same way as we defined the previous function. Right? This is what we call syntactic sugar. Because it sweetens it for you. You can use either form of writing a function. You can either say, this is a function, and here's its definition, the name of the function, all the stuff that it's got to do, and end. Or you can say, the name of the function equals a function, and then just write the definition of the function and comes to an end. So the only difference is, instead of saying function p.high brackets frame, we've written p.high equals function frame. The two things are absolutely identical. And I'm going to confuse you at this point. You might find it a bit confusing, but I hope you don't. But the reason I'm introducing both ways is that when you look at other people's work, some people like doing it one way, some people like doing it the other. Depends on what your background is. But again, it doesn't matter. Who doesn't care? So you can define it either way. Now on the second line of that, would anybody like to hazard a guess? Somebody tell me what they think the second line of that function actually says.
From the arguments passed to the function, it's getting the one called name.
It is. And what's it doing with it?
It's putting that value into a new variable.
Yes. And the variable's name is?
Str name.
str name. Now, for those of you that used to like programming in Visual Basic, you'll be used to using a type indicator for the name. And basically all that says is this: I'm just giving myself a hint that this is going to be a string, so, which is why I put str. You could call it name, or my name, or this name, or Fred and Barney. It doesn't matter what you call your variables. That's that's up to you. And that's it. That's it. Any name, yeah. Anything at all. It really doesn't matter as long as you use the same thing in the next line, of course. None of that is important. So what we've done, the frame object contains something called args. And the args is the list of parameters that you passed to that function. So frame.args, and it's a table. Now again, what we've got here is we've got syntactic sugar. Frame.args is another way of writing frame, square brackets, quotes, args, close quotes, close square brackets. So the index, in other words, args, is now an index of the table. Now indices in Lua can be any type. They can be a number, which can be an integer or a floating number, or they can be a string, or they can be another function, or, well, they can be lots of things. They can be an object even. And that is the index into the table. And for those of you that are used to object-oriented programming, you will prefer to use the dot, because then it becomes the equivalent of saying it's a property of it, which is the same thing, or maybe a method applied to it. Who cares? We don't worry about the nomenclature. You'll see that quite regularly. So if I want the object, which is the list of all the parameters that have been passed into the function through frame.args. So frame.args is what we look at to get stuff into the function. And that is saying there will be something in there called name. There will be a word in there that we call, which will be name equals something. Not here, but in the calling thing in the sandbox. So that will then return hello from you, Alua, to my friend. Now that's in quotes. The double dots is the concatenation operator. That just glues two strings together. So 2 dots, any name, that's the name of the variable, another concatenation operator, and then a bit of HTML at the end to say break, and that'll just throw the thing on a new line. So can we save that up? And now turn back to our sandbox. Yeah, the reason it doesn't save is it's saying, because I've got the preference for remind you if you hadn't put an edit somewhere. That's simply why. So you can always put X in there and save yourself a return character. Okay, so for test 2, what we're going to do, what are we going to be doing in this sandbox? We're going to be hash invoking. Who can help us finish this now? Hash invoke colon. What are we going to say now? Hash invoke. The name, sorry, yeah, okay, sandbox, yeah, absolutely, sandbox, whatever your name is, yeah. So the name of the module comes next after the colon in the hash invoke. So let's put that in there. Okay, and then a vertical bar. By the way, you can put a space after that if you want, it doesn't care. Hi, yeah. Can you remember the spelling? Capital H, I think, was it capital H? Probably. Yeah. And that's it. And then another vertical bar. And so that's the name. So far what we've got is we've got hash invoke, the name of the module, the name of the function that we want to call, and now we can pass it as many parameters as we like. And we can pass it unnamed parameters if we wish. The first one that you pass will be 1. That will have an index of 1. The second one you pass will have an index of 2, and so on. So you can have unnamed parameters, and you can have named parameters. Lua doesn't care. So you can write, what do we say we're going to call this variable that we passed in? Name. That's the one. So we're going to say name equals, let's put Andy, quotes Andy. Sorry, we don't need quotes. My deepest apologies, you don't need the quotes. Don't put the quotes in. Sorry, this is template syntax. Doesn't know what the quotes are.
Quotes in, is that bad?
No, it'll just end up with quotes.
Yeah.
They'll just go right the way through. You can try it.
I just did it. It works.
It doesn't know that the quotes mean anything. All parameters, even numbers that you pass from a Wikipedia page into Lua are strings. All parameters are strings, and everything that comes back is a string. There's no change to that at all. That's always the case. Okay, so we're nearly there. Right. Okay, so we're going to preview. How's that? Yeah. Is that all right? Okay, that's good. That's good. So let's save that up, and we've got that bit done. Yep. Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. Could you change your module now so that it uses your name instead of Andy? Everybody managed? Yeah? Shout me if I'm going too fast now. Okay, right, so that's all done. Yeah, so so but notice now what we've done is we've altered something on our page which has been passed to the module, passed back and comes back out of that there. Okay, that's fine. Right, hello from Lua to my friend Alicia or Andy or whoever it is. That's all you need to do to get that. Now, can you see what the snag with this is? Because what's going to happen is you're going to write modules, and the module code is what you write. But the stuff that calls it is in somebody else's hands. So they will call your module, and they'll make mistakes, and they'll put invalid data in, and they'll screw things up for you. So what would happen, can we go to task 2 again? Can we, edit task 2, edit from here. Can you copy that onto leave a blank line and copy exactly the same thing? Yeah, that's it. Copy that. That's it. Leave a blank line and put it in. And this time, just take the name out altogether. So it just says name equals. Name equals. It's okay. Name equals. Yeah, just name equals. Sorry, yes, it's because it's name is we use the same name. So it's a bit confusing. So right. Okay, what's that going to give us?
Interspace.
Well, let's preview it and see. From my, yeah, see? So you pass it nothing, it gives you nothing. That's what you expect. Okay, let's save that up. That's good, yeah. Yeah. That's it. Hello from Lua to my friend. Okay. So what it would be nice to do is it would be nice to catch these sorts of mistakes that people make and supply it with a default value. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's go back into the sandbox and edit it. Now Lua has a wonderful thing called a Boolean operator. And it's a cracking thing. And there's two of them actually, there's and there's or. And they do lovely things. And basically what it boils down to is, if you go to the first line where it says any name equals frame.args.name, and just after the word name, put a space, and the word or, no, it is case sensitive and it likes lowercase. I'll be honest with you, it's almost all in lowercase, except for the stuff that we've written and glued onto it. So if you're in any doubt, it's almost certainly in lowercase, unless it's a Wikimedia call, a medium wiki call. So. And I want the word Jimbo, but because it's a string, that is going to have to go inside quotes.
Here it does.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the Jimbo is going to have to go inside quotes. Now, what that says is this. Get the thing from frame.args.name, and if it's not there, if it's completely missing, if it's null, if it's false, then evaluate the second bit and use that instead. Now, this is going to be interesting because this is not, I promise you, this is not going to be what you expect. Can you save that for us when you're ready? Can you save that? Lovely. That's it. Now let's have a look back in our sandbox. Let's just refresh the page and see if it works. Oh dear, it didn't work. No. Why didn't that work?
You must let the name equal.
Yeah. You see, what we've actually done, forget that for a second, let's go back to, no. Let's go back to here, let's have a look in here. Can I have a look in here?
Good.
Yeah. You see, what we've actually passed here, believe it or not, and this is the single biggest mistake you'll make when you start using this, is that you think that empty string there, which is being passed, that is actually passing name as an empty string. And you think the empty string is false. Those of you that program in JavaScript, right, you think the empty string is false. Well, it ain't. In Lua, the only thing that's false is nil, a complete absence of value. So if you take out the name equals part, and now preview it, have a look now. Yeah, so that's why I wanted you not to take it. There it is, there's Jimbo saying hi. Now can you see the difference? Lua knows the difference between an empty string and a parameter that's completely missing. A parameter that's completely missing will be nil, and an empty string will be something which is actually truthy. If I test for it, it'll be true. If name will be true. And that's really something that I can't stress too much. And zero, by the way, is also true. So you JavaScripters, yeah, you really got it. The only thing in Lua that's false is nil. Okay? I'll probably that will just put. Well, what that will do is it will set the first parameter to the string nil. So frame.args1 or brackets 1, sorry, equals, will actually have the value quote nil. So it's not what you want. Save that up then. We've got this done.
We've cracked this. We're well on top. Good. Let's see from... If only I had my specs, I could probably tell us what to do next. What we're going to do is we're going to move on a little bit further, and we're going to do something else. What are we doing now? We've done all that, haven't we? That's all done.
Yeah.
That's all done. Let's get on to task 3. We're going to do task 3. What am I going to ask you to do now? Go into your sandbox, put a heading called task 3. Right, so that's ready to go there. So I'm going to, in your sandbox, let's do, that's it, a new vaccine called task 3. Okay. No need to do anything with it just yet because we haven't got that. Let's go into, let's keep that just ready. Let's keep that under our belts ready to go. That's right, not a problem. Okay, back in here, we've got something else to do. Okay, I want you to make a new function called temperature. Okay, I want you to make a new function called temperature.
Is it P dot temperature?
It is indeed P dot temperature, yes. Well, it doesn't have to be, but if it isn't, it won't be any use because it won't be exported. So P dot temperature is indeed exported. And what we're going to do is we're going to pass it, what are we going to pass it?
Frame.
The frame. Yeah, we're going to pass it the frame object. That's it, spot on. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to pass a temperature in a parameter called Celsius.
Yeah.
And then we're going to store it inside the function in a variable called cel, C-E-L. So we're going to put C-E-L, that's so what I'm only doing this quite deliberately to show you that there's a difference between the name of the parameter that you're passing in, which is an index into a table, and a variable, a local variable. But we could call it Celsius if we wanted to. Lua doesn't care. Okay, so cell, I'm going to call it cell for the moment because that's the rest of the code looks like that. Equals, and I want to get the parameter that I've passed as Celsius. So that's going to be
Frame.args.celsius.
spot on. Thank you very much. That's exactly right. Frame.args.celsius. Okay, that's straightforward enough. Good. Okay, so now whatever I've used, Celsius equals something, I'm going to do there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a calculation now. And to convert it to Fahrenheit, anybody remember Fahrenheit? No, you're not as old as me, so yeah, okay, all right, you don't. All right, Fahrenheit, yeah. Any yanks? Okay, yeah, we're okay then. Okay. So let's start with a variable. Let's call it FAH, Fah, and we're going to put that equal to. Now, do you know how to convert it?
Yes.
You multiply cell by
9 divided by 5
and add 32. That's correct. Cell times 9, star is times 9, divided by 5 plus 32. And it's the usual BODMAS, it's the usual order of operators. Multiplication before division, not that that matters. They're commutative in this particular case. And then after it's done the multiplication and division, it then adds 32. Okay, so that's how it works. So we've got that, and now what we're going to do with that? We've now got something called far. What we're going to do with it? We're certainly going to return it. Okay? And then we need to end the function. Shift tab. Yeah, that's lovely. That's shift tab. That'll do it for you. There you are. So there's a nice little function that should do that calculation. Can we test it up, see if it goes?
Will this only be integer values, or does it know that it's got to... Oh, sorry, that question.
Go on. No,
Does it
you know
know
what the answer
Does
is.
it know that if you divide an integer by another integer that you might not get an integer, is it going to give you an integer, or is it going to give you...
Lou doesn't care. It's going to give you the floating point.
Okay.
If you, yeah, that's true. It'll just.
String, no?
Sorry?
CL is a string, no?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And we can just divide the string.
Yeah. Okay. So have you got your error message up yet? Yeah, if you just did the whole thing at once, you'd just be able to copy the line down rather than section editing. Editing's not going to save you much here. And then, what's the name of the function? Temperature. Yeah, spot on. And what are we passing?
Celsius.
Celsius equals. What shall we have? Oh, you put a number in. Yeah. Although it's going to be a string. We know that even if you put a number in there, we've told you that when it gets into the module, it's going to be a string.
So no quotes.
No, we don't use quotes in parameter names in parameter values in templates ever. You know that when you pass it from one to the other. You don't need a quote in template syntax. Doesn't require quotes for a string. It's all whatever it is in templates. You know, it's horrible. So what the idea is to get the template down to as simple a thing as you can, which is kind of like what this hash invoke is doing for us. Pass everything you want from the template, pass all your parameters from the template straight into the Lua code, into the module, then do things with them, and then when you finish doing things with them, pass it back in some sort of format that the invoking function can actually do something with. Okay, did that work?
Yeah.
Save it? Yep. Why did that work?
Doesn't work.
Didn't I tell you that was that 10 was a string? So that's a string, look. That bit there, I've told you that's a string, so that's got a string in it. That cell has got a string in it.
Yeah.
But the problem is, or rather the beauty of it is, but it can be a problem, is that, no, there's no conversion. Lua does not type its variables by name. Variables are typed by value. Okay, now that might be just a little bit of, for those of you that are used to very highly, typed languages, it's a bit of a shocker. But that 10, which is actually a string, when it gets to there and the parser says, I want to multiply this string by 9, it thinks, hang on a minute. I can't multiply a string by 9, but that string actually represents the number 10. So I could change that into a number, yeah, and then I can multiply the 10, which is now a number, by that, and it does it. Yeah, seriously, yeah. Now there is a function, go on, yeah.
As now it's fact, now it's number, it's integer. Can we make another part of the function that makes something with string after that number?
You mean like cell?
Like in
Could we use cell as a string? Is that what you're saying?
Like can we the same parameter
Yeah.
in every line define make some operation that change the type?
No, because the type is in the value. As long as the value stays 10, that's what it is. It's 10 as a string. That is 10 as a string. There is a function called toNumber, and that forces the value held to be 10. Okay. For those of you that know it, cell at the moment is actually holding in memory the ASCII code for 1, which is 49, and the ASCII code for 0, which is 48,
and then a marker. So it is actually holding a string as ASCII values, right? But far, which is 50, is actually holding the number 50, the byte value 50 as a number, as an integer. It's probably a 4-byte integer actually. So it's 0, 0, 0, and then 50 is 4, 2 or something like that. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, the point of it is, most of the time you don't care. You don't have to worry, and I'll show you one of the exceptions to this in a moment or two. What I want you to do now, I want you to change that line there, so that instead of giving a number, I want you to write the temperature in Fahrenheit is, and then concatenate far onto it. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, have a crack at that for us. How's it going, show me your charge. Indeed we do. Yeah, we get a bit further. Okay, so there we have it. Shall we just save that up and see how that works? The temperature in Fahrenheit. Now, just for those of you that are worried about types of variables, just notice in your mind, that 50 was a number, wasn't it? And we've just glued it together with a string. But Lua didn't care, because it says, okay, I've got a concatenation operator, I expect 2 strings. Can I represent this value as a string, even if it's a number? And the answer is yes, of course I can represent it as a string. It's obvious what the string is. So it just turns it to a string. You can force things to be strings with a 2-string function. It's not a problem. But you don't need to. So most of the time, type conversion goes by without you even noticing it.
But it's only giving whole numbers now, even if you don't give it something to divisible by 5. So
Really?
yeah, I just tried it. I put in 19, it's giving me 68, which is not quite right.
That's not quite right, is it? Okay. Why might it be doing that, do you think?
Because it's integers. Do you think it's integers? Or?
I don't know. I mean, I don't. I mean, it clearly is an integer in your case, but why you're getting that and nobody else is, I don't know. Mike, can you sort him? And I'll go. Yeah, go on, sure.
Yeah, mine's not showing up there.
Oh dear.
Just giving you the number.
Have you saved it? That's the first question. Have you saved your module? Show me your module.
Yeah. I think it's caching values, so I think you have to change the number you pass in the function.
Because you set the default to 20
to get the new.
Shouldn't do. Shouldn't do. Try it anyway. So we'll Control or whatever it is that turns your cache. Edit and preview, that clear the cache. It was just cached. Thanks, Martin. Yeah, it was cached. Okay. Incidentally, if any of you do feel the need to get away early, it's not a problem. You've got the rest of the stuff. You can pick up where we left off and do it yourself. But for those of you that are going to carry on to the end of the ride, which is another 25 minutes away, let's do something else. What are we going to do? Oh yeah, we're going to do a test. Let's do a test. Okay. And this is where we do find things start to get a little bit more complicated. So let's go into the module then, please. Into the module. Okay, so what I'm going to do, what I'd like you to do is, here, I want you to do a test. And I want you to test, how warm would it have to be for it to be warm?
We're warm.
Yeah, warm.
Depends on where you live.
It does indeed, yeah. Where are we? Stockholm?
Stockholm.
3 degrees would be warm, wouldn't it? Let's just say, for argument's sake, 10 degrees makes it warm. 10 degrees. You want 20, you can have 20, don't worry. So let's just work with a number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test to see whether cell, which if you remember is a string, yeah, I'm going to test to see whether cell is more than 10. So I'm going to write if cell, and then I use the greater than sign. That's less.
Both of those?
Yes. That's it, yep. Greater than 10, then. And that is that keyword then starts the then part of the if, then and else. Now, you can write it on the same line. Lua doesn't care. But what I'm going to suggest is you go on to the next line now. And it's not a dumb thing, it does index things. And what I want you to do, I want you to write a new variable called message, MSG, equals, quotes, space, it is wall. And then at the end of that line, I want you to go onto a new line and now just outdent it to write the word else. Nothing unusual about this. Onto a new line. You can do it on that line if you want to, Lou doesn't care. Message, well, you can see what's coming now. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you put your own message in there. Yeah, it's the same. So, beautiful. Now, well, the only thing we've got to do is end the if construction. Yeah, which we'll just outdent that. Shift tab will do it for you. That's it, lovely. So there's an if, then, else, end if you like in other languages, but there's your end. And that's your construction to do tests. And you can have as many lines as you like in between, and, well, however you want. But that looks nice like that. Now, beware. Almost there. At the end of this, we're going to glue on the message, which is why I started the message with a space. Okay? So we're going to glue that onto the end. Double dot is concatenation. There's the message. Let's save that up and see if it works. What's the betting? Who wants to bet it works? Who wants to bet it doesn't work? It should work. Doesn't. Okay.
No one cares.
Oh, how about that? Yeah, this is it. This is it. It's an attempt to compare a number with a string. I told you it was a string, didn't I? Yeah. Why can't it compare? It can change the string into a number. Why can't it compare a number with a string? There is a logical reason for this. Well, the reason is this. It doesn't know whether it wants you to compare two strings or compare two numbers. Because if there were strings, 10 would be less than 9. If they're numbers, 9 would be less than 10. So it doesn't know which way to do it. So it just says, I can't make a sensible guess at which conversion you want me to make. So Lua will make conversions for you where they're unambiguous, but where there's any ambiguity concerned, it's not happy to do it. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to have to force cell to be a string. Sorry, not a string. A number! Okay, and what we do, we just go in here, and there is a function called toNumber. And if I remember right, it's TO, capital N for some reason, MBER, and then an open curly bracket.
No.
Yeah, it's not curly bracket, it is. Open parentheses, open ordinary bracket. Yeah, nearly there. And then the thing at the end. Yeah. Sorry, don't worry, Blue doesn't care about that. It still works. There it is, and that might well do the trick for us. Shall we have a go at that, see if that will work?
No.
Now, why is that not working? Here's the clue. When you're debugging, a global says that's a variable. That's just a plain variable. That's a common or garden variable. That's not a function that I know. So what we do is we open up a new tab. I do this. You don't do this. Open up a new tab and have a look under the computing line. And here you'll see.
Well, we googled the error message.
There, or you can Google the error message, yeah. But this is, that's the Wikibase client, which isn't the one that we want. This is the Ubuntu reference manual, which is the one that we want. And this gives us all the stuff that we want. So if we make a mistake and something comes up, well, that didn't work right. I mean, you could see it wasn't going to work because the parser didn't turn the toNumber bit into something blue. Do you remember? You know what it does? Every time it recognises a keyword, it colours it. And it didn't do it, and you could see that. So can you see what the mistake was? Can you see what the mistake was?
Yeah, we typed in with a capital
What did I
letter.
tell you about capital letters?
Don't use.
Normally, all the Lewis stuff is going to be in lowercase. And if it's not, then it's not Lua. Okay? Now let's see that change colour. See that change colour there? Look. That, yeah, see? And there it is. It's now recognised it as a keyword. Save that up and you should get something working. Okay, so there's the tip for debugging. If you're finding stuff that's not looking right, go and check it in the manual. The manual's there, you can use it. Bingo. How's that? All right? We're happy enough with that? Okay. Now, so now what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, that has given us a test. It's given us calculations. Let's try a different number. Yeah, there's a different number. If it's 1, it says it's not warm. What would happen if we missed the number out? Can you put... Yeah. Just miss the 1 out. No. Go back into the sandbox. You can all try this. Without the 1, Celsius equals, because this is what's going to happen. You're going to put this is going to be a parameter that somebody's passing into a template. And sure as eggs is eggs, somebody will forget to supply the parameter. So what is going to happen? Oh, bugger. Cell is now a nil value. How did it get to be a nil value? Well, the answer is this. We'll now look at the sandbox.
Conversion.
That toNumber, if it fails to turn it into a number, it returns nil. Not the string or whatever it is that it's failed. It actually returns nil. So toNumber, and I'm sorry about this, but the documentation in here is absolutely. Did I say that loud? The documentation in there is something that we can spend some time at a hackathon improving. Okay, that's what I meant to say. Yeah, my apologies, I slipped up there. Just take that as shorthand. The toNumber function built in to Lua returns nil if it's not
if the conversion fails. So if you put Fred in there, it would still return nil, not the word Fred. And if you pass no number, nothing at all, it'll still fail, and it'll fail exactly the same way. So what we're going to do, yeah, it's there. They've done a good job on that. Somebody has. What we're going to do is we're going to supply it with an alternative value, a default value. Oh, it's there somewhere. What we're going to do, we're going to supply, yeah, do you see how we did or Jimbo there? Yeah? Well, we're going to put or inside, no, it's got, no, we've got to get inside there. Yeah. Or, what should we give it?
0.
Yeah, 0 would be good. Don't give it a string because it's just going to fail again. Right? Give it a number. And of course, a number constant is still a number. It's happy enough, it'll take that. And believe me, it'll take that as a number because you haven't put it in quotes. That is a number. Definitely. And it might be a float or it might be an integer, but we don't care. Okay. Let's hit that. How did that get to be a nil value? What went wrong?
Should put outside.
Inside there. You shouldn't put it inside.
Shouldn't have put it inside. Well, try it. Come on, you can do this. I was happy with that. What went wrong? Come on, somebody tell me. You know what went wrong.
Well, frame.args.textures is not nil before it is casted to number.
Yeah. Let's look in the sandbox. If you put Celsius equals, it's an empty string, remember? So what you've actually done is you said, that's an empty string or 0. And what's an empty string or 0? It's an empty string, yeah. So, you see, an empty string, when you try to turn it to a number, gives you nil. So where are we going to put the or 0? Yeah, you got it. You got it. Outside, yeah, outside. These are the kind of problems you're going to come up across until you get your head round how it's holding data types. And I can't do anything to help you on that other than say practice it. Yeah, go on, that's it. That's it. Now try. Now try. Save that up and see if that works. We've got 10 minutes left. We haven't scared everybody off yet. How you doing?
Now, isn't it better in this case to just leave the user to get an error message? Because just to give them 0 Celsius might not be the best. Maybe it's better for them to know they didn't get a...
Absolutely. Maybe it is. But I'm showing you how to handle it.
Yeah, sure.
Either way around. And I wanted to make the point that Celsius equals and the absence of the parameter are two different things as far as Lewis is concerned. So yes, in any given circumstance, you may well choose to let them hit the error. Fine. In fact, you can even catch the error and give them your own error message or handle it your own way. But, I mean, I tend to just show, stick a value in. If they don't understand why it came out at 32 degrees, that's their problem. Okay, so we've got that much done. Good, saved it up. Is it all working? Astonishing. We've got 10 minutes left. Let's see if we can do the next one. Shall we? One more for you? One more. One more. Let's go for one more. This is going to be a hoot. This one is. Oh, yeah, loops. Loops. Okay. What I'm going to do, I think, the easiest way to do this, have you saved that yet? Yeah. Task 4? Task 4, okay. Okay. Yeah, we'll use much of that again, but not the last bits. Okay, so that's ready to go. Okay. Yeah, don't worry. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cheat here. Give me a second. Yeah, copy paste. No, well, you can copy paste, but the rest of them can't, you see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw that.
Hey. Yeah, but
Oh.
where it is.
You can open your own model.
Yeah, you can do it, yeah, if you want to. But there it is. If you want to open my task 04, there is that little function. And in fact, that's the solution to the last one. It's implemented for you, see. So what this is doing is it's going to do a times table. We're going to pass it a number, and if we don't pass it a number, it's going to do the 2 times table. And this is the bit that I want you, that's new, if you like. Oh, incidentally, I've actually started using the word local at this point. It's always a good idea to define your variables as local. Because then it keeps the scope down and they don't get mixed up with other stuff. So that num only exists inside the times function. In the previous ones, the cell and the far and all the other stuff, they exist inside the entire module.
Okay, so you have to say explicitly if you want it to be local.
Absolutely.
But otherwise it's global by default.
Exactly.
That's inconsistent and doesn't make sense.
It makes sense to me. If it's nothing, it's global, and if it's...
It's opposed to most other languages.
Of course.
That's what you say. It's why.
But it does make sense. It does make sense. It does make sense. The reason being that you now have control of the scope. So wherever you define, whatever level of indent, if you like, or whatever level of the thing you define that local as, you have said, make this and destroy it when we get to the end of this level of indent. Now, if you don't do it that way around, if you just say num, then you will eventually put it in the wrong scope, I promise you. So I think there's a bit of sense in this. Anyway, here's what I want you to do. I want you to make this, and what we're going to do, this is the bit that you haven't seen. This line 4. That's it. Go on, yeah, pop it in the sandbox. Let's work that in the sandbox. Another function towards the end. Is everybody happy with where we are? You're getting the hang of this now. It's starting to become a little bit more... Okay, it doesn't make sense, but it's the way it is. In it goes. So if I was to say to you, create a module to do a particular job, you'd probably be able to do that now.
Yes.
Yeah? And if I were to say, okay, in that module, write a function that says this, does a calculation, pass stuff in, pass stuff out, you'd probably be able to do that as well. That, if you want to just see it running, what this does is it defines, it actually defines what we call an iterator function. And 1, 10 is a function that actually goes from that returns consecutive values 1 to 10 every time it's called. So that is one form of the for loop. There are more than one type of for loop. You can do for something. You can like go through each value in a key. There's a function called iPairs, which goes through all the numbers in a list, all the values in a list. There's something called pairs, which goes through every key in a table, key and a value. But this particular one is a very simple one, and that just sets that I there to be 1, then 2, then 3, what you're used to, basically. So that's, you'll have different things. You like those of you that are used to range, you just don't bother to tell it what the range is. That's all. It's the same function. And for those of you that, like me, switched from one language to another, you will end up putting the word to in where that comma is there more times than you'll have hot dinners. But that's just the way that it, you just learn. That's the syntax. Your mind flips and we're working in Lua. Or it just gives you a mistake and you say, I'll blow it. It's not a 2. It's the word. It's the comma that we use to define the range. There it is. Can you save that up and see it run? Has everybody managed to do that? Did it give you a times table?
Yes.
Right. Your task is then, in the remaining 2 minutes, to change it to do a 6 times table, and to change the message that you get. Aha, here we go. This is the real test for you. Can you change the message that you get? The out, by the way, is just the message that's output at the end. That's all it's doing. Yeah, you have to call this. You have to give. You're right. Well done. You're there. There it is. There's the 3 times table. I'd like it to say. I'd like that to say 3 times table, and I'd like it to say 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6. Can you do that? That's your homework. Interesting? Okay. Go on then and have a crack at it. See if you can do it. Question. And I want it to say 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times... Those of you of a certain age will recognise that particular mantra. Yeah, you get it. You know it. Does anybody have any problems? Does anybody need any help? You've been very competent. Well, I don't know how anybody except a slip up that occurred, that is bound to occur at some point. Yeah, you will forget where the spaces are. I promise you that much. Something like that. Go on, give it a go. This is the rough guide to programming in Lua. So there it goes. There it goes. I's a nil value. Yeah, great, isn't it? Why is that? Where did it go wrong? Let's have a look at this sandbox. He's got, obviously, I is now outside of the scope. He's used I outside of the scope. So we need to check in. Gosh, you're having problems with that. Oh, don't. Do you need a new battery? Can you see the return bit? Mm-hmm. See it? I only exists inside that for loop. You actually wanted to do something else. Can you see what you needed to do? No. Okay. I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to build out.
Yeah, 31.
You need to, in line 31 is where you want to actually do the times out equals I times num equals I times num, and then just return out. That's it. That's lovely. I'm ever so sorry, folks. We've run out of time. I don't know what pressing engagement there is that we've got to attend to now, but we've got
Pizza.
It's pizza. Okay, that's it. I can't compete with
Can
that.
we thank you, Doug, and can we thank Nicola for doing amazingly well with the unfamiliar keyboard?
Yes.